Hello and welcome to Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. It feels really weird to only do this every 2 weeks now because I sometimes just forget about what I talked about last time. So this time I actually went back and watched some of the stuff that I was talking about last week or 2 weeks ago because I, just like couldn't remember. It was spinning especially, I couldn't remember where I was. I sort of remember where I was with my Fair Isle stuff and like with other things. But anyway, hi, I'm back and it's been busy. I went to Vermont. Ian graduated from college, which is insane. He has a job. Drinking tea out of a... People frequently ask me where I get my mugs. I got this from Anthropology 6 years ago. I think I got this when I started grad school, so it would have been like 6 years ago. So yeah, I don't know where you can buy it now. Not Anthropology, but that's where it used to be. Yeah, it's Memorial Day. I'm recording on Memorial Day. It's a little bit cloudy today. It's been really beautiful. So anyway, I was home last weekend and it was beautiful in Burlington. It wasn't warm. It wasn't freezing, but it wasn't warm. I didn't wear my Patagonia coat even though I brought it. But anyway, yeah, it was nice and it was beautiful weather for graduation, and Ian graduated. And we took our pictures together right before it started pouring down rain. So that was real fun. And then my parents came back here with Ian. Actually, my whole family came back here for a few days to just be in the area. And last year they came for Memorial Day too. My parents came down here for Memorial Day, and they were here during the work week, and I didn't take any days off, which was my own mistake. And sorry, the chair is squeaking as I adjust myself. So anyway, they were here. The days that they were here this year, I was able to like take a day off, and then they were here on the weekend, and so we got to do lots of fun stuff. We went to Frederick together. My mom and I went to Magpie for an entire hour, shockingly only an entire hour, where we talked to some great folks there, and she got some yarn because I got her a gift certificate to Magpie for her birthday last year. She turned 60, so I got her a big old gift certificate to Magpie, and she finally used it. And one thing she thought she was going to use it, she was like, I don't have it. And I was like, it's in your email. You'll find it. And she was like, no, I'm not going to buy anything. And then she bought yarn and fabric. So I was like, yeah, right. Of course you weren't going to buy anything. The only thing I bought was needles, but I got a set of just needles that I needed. But then I also got a Chalgu 360 swivel cord, which I think is going to be weird at first, but I'm going to maybe get used to it. I got a 16-inch or an 8-inch swivel cord so I can use them to make 16-inch needles. Just to see what it's like. The swivel cords just mean that the needle can rotate 360 degrees on the cord, but it's still secured because the like metal thing that goes on the end of the cord is the thing that revolves. The needle is fully encased in the end of that thing. The bottom of that thing is just like attached to the cord and it revolves. So I'm interested to see how that works. People say it's like, the way that it was described to me was kind of like progressive glasses. Like at first you're like, whoa, this is really trippy and weird and I don't like it. And then after like a few rounds, you're like, this is better. And I've been told that the reason is because you don't have to scooch as much. Like the needle, because it can swivel, does some of the scooching for you. So I'm interested to see if that helps. But yeah, I've done a bunch of knitting. First, let's talk about the red top. Okay, so yesterday was Pentecost and I did not wear the red top because I lost yarn chicken. I had one skein of this yarn and I thought it was like 400 yards. I mean, it was probably less than that once I washed it, but I didn't measure the yardage after I washed it. And I ended up just getting a new bump of fiber because I was like, I'm not going to unravel it. I really like it. Here it is. I've made what's this called? Sea Change? No, it's called the Salty Air Tea by Samantha Guerin, I think. You can sort of see the lace. I haven't blocked this, so you can't see the lace in any kind of productive open work way, but you can sort of see that there's like bigger panels. Oh, that's really hard to see. There's these bigger panels and then there's the smaller panels. And I had to do a bunch of math to make sure it would fit, and I think it will. I should have put it on barber cords and tried it on, but I haven't. But I got 2 more ounces. This was 4 ounces of fiber, so I got 2 more ounces, which I think is going to be sufficient to get enough yardage to finish a t-shirt. We'll see. Famous last words. But it'll be fine. I'm just, I was a little sad, but I was like, it's okay. I have a red dress I can wear on Pentecost. I would have finished it because I got this far by Wednesday, But yeah, sadly she ran out. So, but I really enjoyed knitting this. I really liked the way this colorway knit up. I liked the way it spun up, and I liked the way it knit up. And I did finish the sleeves off before I got to the end of my skein, so that I knew I would be able to do that. Haven't woven any ends, haven't blocked anything, haven't even tried it on from barber cords, but I'm quite sure that this will fit me with the exact way that I want it to, as most things tend to. Sometimes my things are too narrow in the shoulders because my shoulders are so wide, but otherwise I tend not to have too many issues with fit. I tend to be able to make things to fit me pretty well, with a few exceptions. What I find, if you have wide shoulders, this is something I'm going to give you a tip. If you don't already know this, which you might. So when you're knitting top-down circular yoke specifically, like this is a Soldotna crop by Caitlin Hunter. That's her name, right? This is a really popular pattern. I've made it a bunch of times. This is the only one I ever made for me. I made like 3 or 4 other ones for friends who requested them, but this was just for me. I really like the color. I dyed all of the yarns myself except the purple. The purple was like a Madeline Tosh fragment that Monica and I got a skein of it in a grab bag once, so I don't even know what color it is. I don't think the color even had a name. It was like a Madeline Tosh grab bag, one of a kind thing from Webb's that we used to get when we were in grad school to make mittens, and then we never made the mittens. Well, we made some of the mittens, but we didn't really keep up with that the way that we were buying yarn, at the rate that we were buying yarn at least. So anyway, if you have wider shoulders, you want more increases to be right at the shoulders, or decreases if you're working from the bottom up. But you don't want there to be like increases past the halfway point, because then if your shoulders are wide, the thing is gonna ride up to your neck like this, and you're just gonna be constantly tugging it like this down. So for me, I tend to now look at patterns and see, okay, where are the increases? Because if their increases go all the way down the yoke, that doesn't really aid in a fit very much if you have wide shoulders, or really any shoulders. So be aware of that. Okay, so that's the red top. I thought that today would be a shorter episode, but like, if you've watched me before, or you know me in real life, you know that nothing is brief with me. So, okay, I did finish this, the Fair Isle thing that I was a Fair Isle cowl I was working on. I finished it. It is done. This is the jog. That's why it looks like there's a seam. This is the side without the jog. So it's done. It's still attached to yarn because I have to Kitchener it together because I haven't blocked it yet. So today's task is to weave in all the ends. So this is exactly 3 repeats. I didn't measure it, but I know that it fits around a neck. So, and it's gonna have a twist in it, and it's gonna be nice and snuggly. I think it looks great. It's just really like the colorway works. It's really, actually goes with this. It's sort of are heinous together, but also great, like many pattern mixings are. So yeah, it's gonna end up being grafted together like this, like an infinity scarf with a half twist. But yeah, so basically I designed this. I designed this a couple of years ago actually, and I knitted one in blue, and then I made this for a friend who I'm gonna see in 2 days, so had to have it done. It's gonna I'm gonna weave in the ends today, and it's gonna immediately go on the blocking board so that I can Kitchener it together probably on the plane, knowing me. Something to do on a long plane ride, Kitchener 150 stitches together, yeah. So this is 3 repeats of my 4, star, oxo, thing, oxo, star, oxo, thing, oxo. This is a 4-band, let's call them bands, 4-band pattern, and I repeated it 3 times. I think the total length of the full repeat was like 80 something rounds, so it's 3 times that. It's like 250 rounds ish, probably. Yeah, it's a lot of Fair Isle, especially if you zoom out. I was like, what's that sound? And then I remember that I'm washing my sheets like an adult. I really like it. I mean, it's gonna look even better when it's blocked, and I'm gonna weave in the ends. And if you want to see the horror of how many ends I'm gonna have to weave in, I'm just gonna show you a preview. This is gonna take me like all day. I should have woven them in as I went, but I was just like, no, that's going to deter me from the knitting. I did knit some of them in. If there was a plain round, I knitted them in. But yeah, there's a lot of color changes in this cowl, and as a result, yeah. So I am gonna write this pattern and publish it this year. I'm gonna knit another sample, yet another one probably. Maybe not, I don't know. I feel like the pattern still needs some workshopping, but I'm not positive because I used 2 skeins of this. Well, I needed a second skein of this orchid color from Shetland Spindrift. This is Jameson's. This whole cowl is Jameson's of Shetland, by the way. My original one in blues was a mix of Jameson's 2-ply jumper weight and Jameson's of Shetland, and I think there was a BC Bio Shetland in there as well, which is a thinner yarn, but it works fine in color work with these 2. I used 8 colors. There's 4 foreground colors and 4 background colors, although it's hard to tell when the blue shifts because there's 2 blues, but you can't really tell, which is kind of the point. I wanted it to look like a bit of like a watercolor painting in that way. So yeah, this is very satisfying to knit once you kind of get into the rhythm of it. It took me a while. I started this back in, I don't know, January or February, a long time ago. I might have started it for the Woolly Thistle accessory cowl. I did that last year. I started one of these for the Woolly Thistle accessory cowl last year, and I didn't finish it till December. So I'm getting better, but I think I made a cast this on in January. So that's better than my last cowl, which I love knitting these, but something about them, they just get stuck under the bed and I forget about them. And then I'll knit like 1 band and I'll be like, oh, I can finish this in a week. And then I only knit 1 band and then it goes under the bed for 8 more weeks. And then I knit 1 more band, and that's just how it works until I have a deadline. And so I gave myself a deadline for this, and now it's done. Always works. Okay, so this is done. I'm pleased about it. Yeah, I don't know. I might knit another one in this pattern, but I pulled pinks to do a full pink one in like December or January when I was finishing the green one. And I haven't decided if I'm going to knit that green one in the pinks for a second sample of that, or if I'm going to knit this one again. Because why not just publish all the patterns, but I don't know which one I need more samples of right now. So, well, no, that's the jog. I thought the jog was on this side, but I think, no, it is. This isn't the jog. I don't know why I thought that. Oh, both of them are the jog. Sorry, it's been a really long week and a busy weekend. Pentecost church was crazy. It was really fun, but it was an intense music, and I had to sing some high C's, and the adrenaline needed for that for me is like out of this world intense, and so it was an exhausting day. I needed a cheeseburger after church. I frequently need a cheeseburger after church, but I definitely needed it yesterday because then I had to go back and sing Evensong. Evensong was really fun. I was supposed to pinch hit alto at Evensong, which I don't love doing, but sometimes it's fun. When people hear my speaking voice, they think I'm a natural alto, but I'm not. When I sing in that range, I get a ton of vocal fatigue. So actually I'm a super high soprano, but shh, it's a secret. No, it's not a secret. Everyone at choir knows that. Yeah, it's, but I ended up getting to sing soprano for the Polyphony. We did a piece by one of my favorite Polyphony composers, Francisco Guerrero, who's a Spanish composer. It's Francesco. It's either Francisco or I should know that. And that Guerrero was the first Polyphony I ever sang when I was like 14 at St. Thomas and Fifth Avenue when I was at the girls' course, which I used to work at actually for a long time too. I went to a choir course when I was in high school every summer at St. Thomas Choir School in New York, and I got to sing professional church music starting when I was in high school, which was very rewarding and made me into the professional church musician I am today. So thank you to, always give kids opportunities like that if you can. Anyway, this is a huge digression. I sang Polyphony yesterday and it was awesome. Polyphony is what church musicians refer to like Renaissance counterpoint as. So I've talked about this before, but Renaissance music is my special field in musicology, and sort of. And yeah, sometimes, yeah, Renaissance music is just like my jam to sing. So I like to get to do that with Monica in DC these days, which is nice. Okay, huge digression over. I was just explaining why I was tired. This is another thing I'm working on and almost done. I'm gonna finish it today. Famous last words, a sock. So this is my Catherine Moreland pattern, which is gonna be the next pattern that's released. And I am gonna release it in June. Jordan and I were just talking about this last night. I said, oh my gosh, we gotta do a pattern. And she was like, yeah, let me know. So we're gonna do that. This is the second one. This sample is knitted in Jagger Spun Moose & Falls sock yarn, which I got in last year's Woolly Thistle sock bag. And I love it. And this is actually a men's sock. I'm making these for my friend Mike, who requested some woolly socks. And so these are for Mike, because I don't usually knit. I just naturally just knit women's socks because they use slightly less yarn, and so I can make them faster, and I will wear them, or I'll just, you know, do that with them, which I do frequently. Like, get these out of my house. Everyone can have socks. How many socks do you want? But yeah, this is a men's sock. So just kind of, a lot of my socks are like lacy and funky, and so I just figured, like, for some of the texture, like calmer patterns, like the textured ones, I would knit some, you know, like simple ones that were kind of unisex, so that I could make them for my male friends too, and they could have warm feet. Whew. I stopped that right in time for my massive 2 sneezes. Yes, I don't like to sneeze on camera because it's so loud. Hopefully I don't sneeze again. There's a lot of like dust and stuff everywhere, so I might. But anyway, Catherine Moreland socks will be out soon. I'll post about them the next couple of weeks when I finish these, and I can show you all the samples. I actually knitted a hand spun sample in these. It was my first hand spun socks that I made. So that was fun. So, and I think the texture pattern is also really fun to like do in a really variegated yarn, because the pearls scattered throughout the textures kind of blow up the texture pattern, or blow up the variegated yarn in a really fun way. So because of course I had done that with all the other versions of this sock, I was like, I better make a neutral one so people can see what it looks like if you don't use an insane yarn like I always do. So you'll see all of, actually I think I still have all of the Catherine Moreland samples. I frequently don't have all my samples, like when I release a pattern. As long as I've photographed them, that's okay for me. But like the Catherine Moreland, I'll have all of them so I can show you. And then Emma Woodhouse is next. And I only have one more. I've knitted so many Emma Woodhouse socks already because that was the first pattern. I did release it. You can buy it from the Woolly Thistle, but I'm just going to release it on Ravelry this summer as well. With the revised pattern, just has more pictures of different yarns, samples that I did. And I have one more single sock to knit with that. And it's a shorty, so that won't take long. It's just been like, I finished it last summer, the first one, and it's just been sitting under my bed since then. So I got to finish that, and then Emma Woodhouse will be done. So after that, I'm gonna show you the yarn I have for my next sock. The next sock I'm gonna release, so I guess I'll be like June, August. Oh, in a minute. I might release them a little faster. I don't know. It will be the Mary Bennett socks, and I have knitted. Oh, I think I did 3 samples of those already. I gave all of them away. So luckily, if I need them back for show and tell, I can get 2 of them back easily. I can borrow 2 of them back. But my mom has the 3rd pair. And I was like, I gotta knit a woolly pair. And I was like, I've already knit 2 very woolly pairs. But I wanted to knit one in a yarn you could get at the Woolly Thistle. And so I got this Garthmore Snowdonia. I actually got this in England, I think, last year. But this is what I'm gonna knit the Mary Bennett socks in next. So I've already knitted them in Tuku sock and this farm yarn from Vermont that I got ages ago. That's the ones I knit for my mom. And then I knitted some in my yak sock base, which I love. That's like the softest base. But they're all photographed. Well, mittens aren't photographed, so we're gonna have to photograph this, but that's fine. He keeps his things really nice, so I'm not worried. The other ones are all photographed, so I was just gave them away. I was like, I don't need these, whatever. So anyway, then I'll have a sample that I can show you. The Mary Bennett socks are also textured, so I might knit another sample in like a super variegated yarn just for fun, because again, it's fun to just like knit it in a crazy yarn and just watch it, like the texture pattern just like blow up the yarn a little bit. I have a few skeins of like white yarn that I tried to speckle a few years ago that the speckles didn't come out amazingly well, but like I kind of like them, and they're sock yarns and they're mostly white. They kind of look like funfetti, so I might make some of the Mary Bennett socks with one of those yarns. Those are kind of fun. I have some variegated sock yarns, but not too many. I usually because most of them are my own hand-dyed, and I do mostly tonal dyeing. So anyway, that's that. And I have one more thing to show. Knitting a sample for the woolly thistle in the new Jen Robin sweater. So this isn't a secret because Corinne has shown many samples already on the woolly thistle, and it's in test knitting and all that. So I'm knitting a this is called the Jen Robin sweater. Ooh, something got on it. I'm gonna have to wash that. Knitting the Jen Robin sweater for the woolly thistle as a sample in this round of bands. This is fun. I really like this yarn. So this is an Aran weight yarn from Rama. And if you like Finalgarn, you'll definitely like this. And I find that this is softer than Finalgarn because the twist is a little looser. It's a very loosely twisted 2-ply. This is color 401. And I'm just knitting a store sample in this. So they're gonna be showing it on the Shopcast when it's done. But I love this like rusty orange color. It's really nice. So I'm working on this. It's just very vanilla. One of the needles I had to get at Magpie was a 32-inch size 8 because there's too many stitches on the 24-inch needle. It's just too crowded. So I was like, I need a bigger one. And of course I don't have 5-inch interchangeable tips. Like who am I? I don't know. I need to get them. I have 4-inch interchangeable tips. But I just have so many fixed tips in 24-inch. I'm like, I have every size. Why do I need an interchangeable set? I'm like, clearly I do, because I lose needles all the time, apparently. But anyway, this is really nice, and I'm really enjoying the way this is knitting up. It's a pretty loose gauge. It's a 14 stitches over 4 inches, and I think it's gonna just absolutely blossom when it's blocked. Like, oh, the bloom is gonna be so thrilling to watch. It's got a nice split hem. It's got a nice little detail on the side here. Yeah, I really like this, this jumper. I have one, I knitted one in Let Low Be in stripes that I loved, and now I'm knitting a solid colored one. Just interesting to see the difference. I'm gonna knit. I have so much more Lopi. I'm like, I should just knit like crazy striped versions of these for everyone I know, because I have such a big bag of Lopi. Or I need to knit like some Lopi accessories, like hats and colorwork hats and mitts or something, because there's just so much that I need to get through. And I feel like every time I knit a jumper or something, I still have so much more. It's like this dash doesn't decrease at all when I use it. It's that kind of, and I don't get any more. I'm like, I don't know how this works. But anyway, yeah, Rama Vams. If you like Aran weight yarn and you don't like a super crunchy wool, I actually would really recommend this. It's not super expensive. You can get it from the Woolly Thistle. It comes in a variety of beautiful heathered colors. You can knit the Victory cardigan. If you want to try steeking for the first time, you can knit the Victory cardigan, and you can do the course that Corinne made. So yeah, definitely recommend trying out this yarn if you like Aran weight stuff, especially for sweaters. It knits up so quickly. It just flies. It's like it knits itself. And I'm a fast knitter, but this really has just been so much fun. It comes in 50-gram balls, by the way. So just so you know, there's 83 meters and 50 grams. So, you know, order accordingly if you're looking for a sweater quantity, check the yardage. But anyway, I'm a really big fan of this. Okay. I think that's all my knitting. Like I said, I've done some knitting, but not too much. I have not made any progress on the Set a Stall cardigan because I need to rip back a couple more rounds because the stars are now not centered on the back. So I need to rip back those 2 rounds and do some counting. And my brain just doesn't really have the capacity to do that right now because too much is going on and I don't want to bring it with me. So like the next 3 weekends, I'm not going to be here. So like, it's so much to think about. So I'll probably come back to that in like July. We'll see. But it's just not like, my brain just doesn't really have the capacity to process doing that right now. You know, it's like one of those things where it's like when you sit down to do it, it's not really going to take that long and you're going to get it done. It's going to be fine. And now that I'm finished with this Fair Isle cowl, I may change my mind because I will be here for like some of the days, like the weekdays in the next few weeks. Some of them. This weekend I'm not going to be, well, I'm not going to be here from like Thursday to Monday because I have to go to Taylor Swift. I'm going to Taylor Swift in Chicago, but I'm flying to Toronto to meet my undergrad friends, and we're driving to Chicago from there for a fun girls road trip. So actually, if we divide up the driving, I will have some knitting time, but I don't think I'm going to be knitting like a Fair Isle. Well, Fair Isle, technically it's color work, but it's not really a Fair Isle jumper. It's a set of stall jumper. I'm not gonna be knitting a huge sweater with color work in the car. I'm gonna be knitting something simpler. Maybe I'll bring my Inclinations cowl that I was working on that I showed you last time, which I have not worked on. But again, I'm really just trying to like, at this point, especially because I'm really busy, I'm just kind of trying to work through things systematically because I have a lot of whips. And so I'm just kind of like, okay, it's this whip. Right now we're gonna do this one. And so I've just finished the Fair Isle one. And I'm glad that's done because it's not like a huge project, but like anything Fair Isle is like a huge project because the stitches are so small. So I did, 150 times 250 stitches in that thing. And I don't really want to do the math on that right now, but it's a lot of stitches. So, and it's all in color work on size 2 needles with jumper weight yarn. So I might just need a break. Of course, like I say that, I'm going to like go cast on like a Fair Isle hat today because that's who I am. But I'm going to try and resist, because I've got so many whips, I don't need more. And I have a Fair Isle whip, so I should work on that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try and finish the Inclinations cowl or work on that when I'm on my trip to Toronto and Chicago. The following weekend I have a wedding and a knitting event, so then I'll get to knit at least. Yeah, the 2 things in one weekend that are like involve a lot of driving. It's great. I don't mind driving, especially when I'm with other people, and Nitin's coming to the wedding with me, so I don't have to do all that driving. So yeah, even if we take my car, I make Nitin drive so I can knit. Knitting with Nitin. Anyway, so spinning, right? Okay, so I watched my last episode to see where I was with spinning, and I have realized I did not, oh, that's the current spin. I didn't show this skein. So this skein's done. This is my Polworth skein from Hello Yarn, the club colorway. And I actually do like the way it turned out. I do. It is a little insane, but I think it's like, it would be fun, like in one of Andrea Mowry's patterns, like striped with white or something, like in the DRK Everyday Cowl or something. And this is like more of like a DK sport weight. There's like, I don't know, 300 yards or 320 yards on the skein or something. So it's a little thicker than some of the yarns I've been spinning recently. And it's got some interesting color combos. It did this, is just a 2-ply fractal. So I've been having a good time just like looking at this and thinking, daydreaming about what to knit with it. Thought about giving it to my mom, but then I made her another skein, which you don't get to see because I made it so fast because it was Mother's Day. So I wanted to I got her the new Paul Pereira Textures book on pre-order, but I wanted to give her something. So I made her I spun her a skein of purple yarn that I got the fiber for at Maryland Sheep and Wool. And I did it quite quickly, so you won't get to see it. But I can put a picture of it here, actually. I don't know which side it goes on, but I'll put a picture of it in. Whichever side it's on. There's my purple yarn. It's really nicely variegated, but I actually really like the way it's variegated. Like it was dyed with a variety of purple colors and a tiny bit of blue, but the way I spun it, I didn't spin it, I don't think I spun it fractally. I think I just spun it, I just broke it in half and just spun it end to end because it was variegated with the purples all through it. So I was like, it's just gonna be a beautiful barber pole anyway, and it really was. It looks really nice. And I'm thinking about doing some more like, not tonal dyeing, but like monotone dyeing so that like the colorway kind of stays the same, but you, or it stays in the same family, like you're not getting crazy combos, but there's enough variation that it's visually interesting. So we'll see. Sometimes I do barber pole spins like that too. You just grab 5 blues and you can do that. But this one's fun. I don't know what I'm gonna make yet, but it'll be nice. I'm just hoarding my hand spun skeins right now to have and ponder and look at and say, when it comes to me, it'll come to me for each thing. So there's that. My current spin which you may have gotten a peek of. I've shown this before. This is a Polworth silk one that I got like 2 months ago at a Lovely Yarns in Baltimore when I went up there with Monica and her mother-in-law Becky when Becky was visiting. And I guess it was the end of March. And I started spinning this on the wheel, and it was just like not doing it for me. I spun 1 bobbin as I'm doing a 3-ply because I was able to spin quite fine on the wheel. And I started the 2nd bobbin, and I just like couldn't bring myself to want to spin it because the silk irritates my grip a little bit, like irritates my thumb joint here because it's just tougher than wool. It's not springy. You kind of have to pull harder to get the silk out. So I don't love to spin silk. Thank you, by the way, for the folks who gave me some silk spinning tips. They were helpful. That was like several episodes ago, so I don't really remember. But anyway, I am finishing it on the e-spinner. So I'm doing the second 2 bobbins on the e-spinner. The first part of the 2nd bobbin is on a bobbin from the wheel, so I'm just gonna have to splice those together. And I have a feeling that I'm gonna have leftovers from the electric eel spun singles bobbins, and the wheel one's gonna run out first because I can spin even finer on the electric spinner. So this is what it looks like. This is bobbin number 2. I really like this, the way that it kind of almost barber pulls against itself, and this is gonna be a 3-ply, so it's just gonna be like, this is kind of similar to the purple one I was just talking about, but there's just really 1 blue in it. It's just like different kind of shades of it. So I just really like this. It's so nice. I'm trying to get it to focus. Maybe if I hide my face, it will focus. Yeah. So this is gonna be a spin of her socks. So I'm definitely doing a 3-ply because this has silk in it. So 3-ply and silk makes strong socks. And I'm gonna knit my Aunt Elliot socks, which are gonna come out after the Mary Bennett socks. So at this rate, probably around Christmas time. But you know, my socks are gonna be released over 2 years because getting the patterns together and making sure the test knitters are done, you know, it's a complicated process. So I also still have 2 socks that I haven't knitted yet and 1 that I haven't even designed. So yeah, the Lady Catherine de Bourgh socks, my bonus socks. I was only gonna do 12 and then I decided to do 13. Lady Catherine de Bourgh is eluding me. I don't know what to do for her socks still. Some kind of like really weird, like complicated lace probably. I don't know. But anyway, this is gonna be for Aunt Elliot socks, which is a texture pattern. It's the seersucker. It's like a seersucker texture pattern, which I really like. My mom made a sweater that had that pattern in the yoke that she really liked. She liked it so much she's gonna knit another one. And this is all I have left for the 2nd bobbin. So I'm gonna try and finish the singles today, let them rest, and then ply them Tuesday or Wednesday before I go to Toronto. Just have it done. So it'll be nice. Wash it while I'm gone, come back and it'll be dry. I'm not gonna knit these socks next because I'm gonna knit these Garthenor socks next, but then I'll knit. Hand spin is just like so fun to knit with that it's hard not to cast it on. So I'll probably knit those. But then I do have some stuff. I don't think I showed my fiber from Maryland Sheep and Wool. So I'm gonna show you some of the fiber I got at Maryland Sheep and Wool. This was one of the things I got. This is 2.9 ounces of superfine merino and BFL batlings. That is gonna just be a barber pole skein. Again, I like to make things try and look like spin cycle, and I think this is gonna be something that achieves that in a monotone way. As I was just saying, I'm trying to like lean into the monotone a little bit just because I think it'll be interesting to, you know, to just try and make things a little more coherent. You can, you know, use them in a yoke or something that then won't look crazy. Anyway, that's one thing. I got a couple of these braids from, something fell on the floor. I'm gonna have to pick that up. Got a couple of these braids from Walnut Farm Designs. This is Corriedale in fuchsia. I like really bright colors because I find it hard to dye them myself because I don't have the jacquard dyes. I have Dharma dyes, and well, I have magenta that would probably get me this if I wanted it, but yeah, it wasn't expensive, so I got this one. This one is merino, 23 micron merino in a teal color. Again, I might just use these in combo spins. I don't love to spin single colors of yarn. I should, but I find it boring. And then I got this braid, which is brown merino. 4-ounce braid of brown merino. This is from Spinaway Farm, and I also got a bunch of their stuff at Rhinebeck. So they're inexpensive for what you get. It's a good deal. So if you see Spinaway Farm, they have lots of nice stuff. They have dyed braids too, that are not expensive, but I got some undyed and it really smells like wool. It smells like wool should smell. And then I got this, which is 8 ounces, and I cannot for the life of me remember what breed it is. I feel like it's Coopworth or something, but maybe it's not. I don't really care anymore. I'm just like, I'm gonna spend this probably to make a top because it's 8 ounces, like a top for like a t-shirt, or maybe even 3/4 length sleeves, depending on the weight of the yarn. But I really like this. I think it was a funky color, and I knew it was going to make an interesting yarn. So I figured, let's try it. Maybe I'll just do a single with it and then apply it with like a gray or a white or a brown and make something funky. I don't know. Lots of options here. That would be enough for a full sweater, because this is 8 ounces, and if I did this with like another 8 ounces of white or brown or gray or something, and I'd have 16 ounces of yarn, especially at my default spin is like fingering weight sport, so that would be plenty for a sweater. So we'll see. But yeah, Maryland sheeping wool, fun. And the other thing, I don't even know if I talked about this. My friend Molly, with whom I play the recorder in a consort, I feel like I did talk about this because we had a concert. Maybe I talked about the concert. Anyway, Molly and I bought a fleece. Molly processes the fleece. I'm not processing it. I'm just gonna dye it. But we split it because she was like, this is a lot of wool. I don't know if I need it all. And so I was like, great, I'll split it with you. And she was probably wanting to process it. And she actually washes a lot of it just in her bathtub. But she's also, her parents have a bigger place, and I think they have a skirting table there. So she's washing and processing more of the fleece there. And she has hand combs. She usually uses Viking combs. Molly is more into, she's a historian. I mean, she's a classicist and like a medieval historian. And so she has a lot of like, interest in just like historical type of like fiber processing, which is amazing to me because I don't have any of that. And I don't really have the patience to do any of that. And so she does a lot of drop spindling, and she has Viking combs that she combs things with. And she has, some kind of unicorn scouring stuff to wash it. So Archie is a Rommeldale CVM crossed with, I think, a Romney. And Archie is the name of the sheep. We met Archie's farmer, his shepherd. She sold us the fleece at the fleece sale at Maryland Sheep and Wool. And he smells great. Molly left a good amount of lanolin in it. And she spun a sample for me to see what it was like. This is a 2-ply wheel spun. She did spin this on her, like I said, on her wheel. She has a Kromsky minstrel, and it's a beautiful, tight, very well balanced 2-ply. Molly is an amazing spinner. And we love to get together and spin. When we have recorder movie nights, they're not movie nights, they're actually brunches, but we always watch a movie, so I call it recorder movie night. I usually bring my e-spinner, and she brings her drop spindle, and we spin together. With the other 3 gals just ask us a lot of questions and probably think we're nuts, but it's fun. We have a good time. So she made me this little skein and gave me like 150 grams of processed Archie. Of the like 7 pounds. There's like 3 sweaters for each of us in that. And I dyed some of it teal. So it looks like Medusa's locks because Molly Worsted prepped it for me. And then I decided to dye some of it. And I feel like some of it might have gotten a little felted. But actually it's not too bad. I think it's totally draftable. We'll see. Yeah, so I dyed about half of the Archie locks the processed Archie that she gave me, this teal color. And I'm gonna spin, like I said, I think it's about 150 grams, 150 grams total. So I think I'm gonna try to spin this to like a sport DK weight, make like a color work hat or mittens or cowl or something with it, with the teal and white, because I love teal. Anyway, that is a lot of stuff. Now there's a ton of fibers sitting in front of me that I'm gonna have to put back downstairs. But yeah, these are my next projects. I think I am gonna, well, it's the end of the month, which means my Hello Yarn subscription is going to come in the mail. So knowing me, maybe I'll just hoard it. I don't know. I love the Hello Yarn subscription. This is again my Hello Yarn from last month. And I do usually keep up with those just because I'm like, well, this is the only yarn or fiber that I really buy, except obviously Maryland Sheep and Wool. I took like $100 out of the bank and bought all this stuff. I specifically take out cash so that I don't buy more than I want to buy because I have so much fiber already. I'm like, I really don't need to just go ham. So I try to keep it like not quite so crazy. But anyway, I don't know. I do have a wheel. I have 2, and I have like 6 bobbins for my e-spinner, so I can do multiple spins. It just like, that kind of stresses me out. I don't like to have multiple spinning whips. Plus you can get more electric eel bobbins for like $15. You can get 3, which is just like, a single bobbin for my matchless costs like $55. And I'm like, there's no way I need more than 4 because I only do 1 spin at a time. So my lazy cake can only hold 3 bobbins. So anyway, yeah, next time. Oh, you know what I also didn't finish is that like light pink, super fuzzy, fluffy sweater with the drops air, because of course I didn't finish it because I said I would finish it and then I didn't. So maybe I'll finish that in the next couple weeks, but don't count on it because it's not warm. Although I am working through the whips that I have, and my friend Ivy's in town today, so we're gonna hang out, and she's got her knitting, and so maybe I'll bring that. I don't know. Try to work through the rest of the sleeves at least, and then just have the body left. But I still haven't made a decision about how to finish the sleeves, so gotta do that too. But yeah, lots coming up in the next month. Again, I'm just gonna be like away. I will have knitting time. Like there's gonna be a lot of downtime, except the day I'm in a wedding, probably. Although, I don't know, sometimes when you're in a wedding, you just wait around for a while during the day while everybody else is getting their hair and makeup done, and you are waiting to get yours done, or you've already had yours done. So we'll see. Anyway, lots of trips, lots of driving, lots of knitting time. So I'll get a lot of knitting done. And because I'm traveling, nice thing about traveling, as I said last time, is you can really only bring a limited number of whips. So that's actually good for accountability because you can only knit one thing. Unless you bring a lot of socks, which I'm going to try not to do. Famous last words. Yeah, so, I've come to the conclusion that I just don't know anymore what I'm going to have to show you in 2 weeks. And sometimes the surprise is fun. I'm even surprising myself. So, it is what it is. So I'm going to finish this Earl Grey, which is now pretty cold, but it's still tasty. And I'm going to go work on this sock and finish it. And I'm going to hopefully work on that sweater later with Ivy. We're going to go on a hike, but hopefully it doesn't rain. I think it's just going to be overcast, which is kind of nice. Sometimes it's too hot if it's sunny. So we're going to go on a hike and then probably just hang out and knit and talk. Because it's like when I see my friends, my high school friends, with some regularity, like several times a year. But Ivy's my friend we've been friends since like 3rd grade. And we've always knit together because our moms knit together and taught us both how to knit. And so that'll be fun. She will have her knitting and we can knit. But yeah, we always do. We talk, all the time, but not like in person. And it's like when you see your high school friends, you got a lot of catching up to do because your lives are different. Even though, we visit each other, we both visit each other at least once a year and we see each other at home, but still, like, we got a lot of talking to do. I always have a lot of talking to do. If you know me in real life, you know that. So if you have any questions for me, throw them in the comments or email me. My email address is barnabyknits@gmail.com. You'll see it in the show notes. Everything that I have talked about, yarns, patterns, etc., is always linked in the description box, which is where the show notes are. So if just right underneath the video, it'll say see more or something like that, and you just hit see more, and because it'll say show notes in all caps, and it'll say see more, and then you can see like what I'm wearing, Ravelry pages, any places that I mentioned, any yarn clubs that I'm in. Obviously I can't give you a link to where you can buy a raw fleece. You got to go to a wool show for that. Don't know where some of these things came from. But anything where I know where it came from, you can find it in the show notes. So yeah, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks. It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks is post-wedding. So yeah, I'll be back in a couple of weeks. after 2 of my next 3 trips. So anyway, thank you for watching. This has been Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Bye!